Okay, so today we will learn something about the plant life. Let us learn about photosynthesis in the plants. Like how do they do the photosynthesis? What is photosynthesis? And how is the food prepared in photosynthesis been utilized by the plants? Okay, so let us begin. Now see, all organisms need food for growth and energy. Green plants can prepare their own food and hence they are known as autotrophs. So what do you mean by autotrophs? The substances or the things which prepare their own food are known as autotrophs. So see, like we human beings, are we autotrophs? No, we are not. We cannot prepare our own food. Right? We are dependent on other plants and animals for our food. So we are not autotrophs. But plants, yes. They do prepare the food by themselves with the process of photosynthesis. And that is why they are known as autotrophs. So auto means self and trophs means nourishment. So the nourishment that you make by yourself is known as autotrophs. And this type of nutrition is known as autotrophic nutrition. So from the plants we get nutrition. The plants itself get nutrition from the food it prepares. So the self-made nourishment is known as autotrophic nutrition. Okay? Now, these plants first form simple soluble carbohydrates and later form complex insoluble carbohydrates in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll with the help of water and carbon dioxide. As this process is carried out in the presence of sunlight, it is known as photosynthesis. So now, what does this mean? That, see, the plants first prepare simple soluble, like they first form simple soluble carbohydrates. Okay, and with the help of, during the process of photosynthesis, they make complex insoluble carbohydrates. Okay, what? In the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll with the help of water and carbon dioxide. So now, what is photosynthesis? Photosynthesis is a process by which green plants capture solar energy and use it to convert carbon dioxide and water into simple sugars. Okay, so now what do you mean by, basically in simple words if I have to say, photosynthesis means that the plants in the presence of sunlight, means they take the sunlight in the form of energy, they take carbon dioxide from the air and with the help of chlorophyll present in them and the water taken from the water and minerals taken from the water, that's from the soil, water and minerals taken from the soil, they make food in the presence of sunlight. That is known as photosynthesis. So now, what does a plant, so what are the main requirement of the plants to make the food? So the main requirement is water, carbon dioxide, chlorophyll, energy and energy, right? Energy is in the form of sunlight and carbon dioxide they take from air and chlorophyll is always, yes, we know that chlorophyll is contained in the leaf. So these are the 5 things which a plant requires to make photosynthesis. Okay? Now, so what is an exact definition of photosynthesis? The term photosynthesis means combining by light. Photo, which is light, and synthesis means combining. So photosynthesis means which is something which is combined by light. Okay? During photosynthesis, water is combined with carbon dioxide in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll to produce glucose and oxygen. So if I have to say, a simple formula for photosynthesis is carbon dioxide plus water in the presence of chlorophyll and sunlight gives out glucose and oxygen. Right? The plants take in something, so of course they are making food. The food is made in the form of what? The food is made in the form of glucose and oxygen is a byproduct. Correct? Now, the entire process gets completed in a series of complex chemical reactions. Yes, of course, because they are making food, there are going to be some complex reactions. Correct? So photosynthesis occurs in the mesophyll cells of the leaf. These cells contain numerous plastids called chloroplasts. These chloroplasts contains a green pigment called chlorophyll. So, in the leaves, in the mesophyll cells, there are numerous plastids called chloroplast. And in the chloroplast, chlorophyll is there, which is the most important component for the plants to make food. Correct? Okay. So now, this pigment is of utmost importance as it absorbs the sunlight, which provides energy for the process of photosynthesis. So if there was no chlorophyll, the plants will never be able to absorb sunlight, which is the most important requirement, which provides energy during the process of photosynthesis. So chlorophyll is really important. Correct? Now, the entire process of photosynthesis occurs inside the chloroplast of the leaf. These cells are more abundant on the upper side of the leaf, where they can receive more sunlight. Yes, we know, correct? Like if this is a leaf, this is the upper part of the leaf. What will happen is, of course, there will be more sunlight coming over here than the lower part, and that is why there are more chloroplasts on the upper part of the leaf than the lower part of the leaf. Why? Because it receives more sunlight on the upper part, and chloroplast contains chlorophyll, which needs sunlight. Correct? So understood why chlorophyll, why chloroplasts are more there on the upper part of the leaf? Yeah? Okay. Now, on the lower part of the leaf are numerous spores called stomata. Now, on the upper part there is chloroplast. The lower part of the leaf is stomata. There are lots of tiny minute spores called stomata, which opens into some small air cavities inside the leaf. Carbon dioxide from the air diffuses in the leaf through these stomata and reaches the chloroplast containing cells or chlorophyll containing cells or chloroplast. So, the stomata helps in breathing. Basically, the stomata helps in breathing for the respiration of the plants. Okay? And it provides carbon dioxide to the plant, which is another requirement for photosynthesis. Correct? And it lets out oxygen also. Correct? Okay. So now we learnt about the chloroplasts, which are present on the upper part of the leaf. Now let us learn about the stomata, which is on the lower part of the leaf. Correct? Let's see now. Stomata are tiny openings found mainly on the lower surface of the leaf. These openings are surrounded by a pair of bean-shaped cells called guard cells. Yes, they have to be. Why guard cells? So that the guard cells will close. Once the carbon dioxide is taken inside, they close. And for the oxygen to go outside, they will open up and the oxygen will go out. Okay? So that is why that is the duty of the guard cell. Okay? Now, guard cell, the main function of the stomata is to let in carbon dioxide from the atmosphere for photosynthesis and release the oxygen. Okay, so that is where the guard cells work. They open up, they close. Okay? During the day, the guard cell absorbs water and the stomata remains open. At night, the water is drawn out of the guard cell and stomata remains closed. This is also another function of the guard cells. Now the leaves are adapted to carry out the process of photosynthesis. Because why? Why do you think only the leaves make photosynthesis? How do the leaves only do photosynthesis? There is a reason. Why not other parts of the plant? Why not the branch? Why not the flower? Why not the fruit? Why not the roots? Why they don't do photosynthesis? The reason is, we will learn that now. Okay? They have broad, wide and flat surface to absorb light. Okay, see, now leaves. Leaves are broad. Any other part of the plant is broad like this, like leaf and flat? No. Right? So we have those leaves which are broad, which are wide, and that is why they are able to absorb a lot of sunlight. So that is why the leaves. Okay, leaves bear minute pores known as stomata on both surface to facilitate exchange of gases between the leaf and the atmosphere. So see, now the stomata is contained only in the leaves, not in the roots, not in the branches, nowhere. No other part of the plant contains stomata. The leaves contain stomata. So basically the stomata helps in the exchange of gas of carbon dioxide which is required during photosynthesis? So again, yes, the leaves only do photosynthesis. That is the reason why leaves do photosynthesis. Carbon dioxide from the atmosphere enters into mesophyll through the stomata. The diffusion of carbon dioxide becomes very easy in each and every cell because of the presence of large intercellular space amongst the cell of the leaves. Now see, there is a lot of space between the cells of the leaf. So what happens? They can store in more of carbon dioxide during the process of photosynthesis. The more the carbon dioxide they can store, the more the faster they can make food, or they can do more of photosynthesis basically. So again, the leaves. Understood? So we learned 3 points now, that why only leaves are adapted to photosynthesis. What is the reason why the photosynthesis happens only in the leaves of the plant and no other part of the plant. Right? Now, Paley said mesophills absorb maximum sunlight as it is situated just below the upper epidermis. Each cell of the palisade mesophyll contains numerous chloroplasts, and the chlorophyll pigment found inside these chloroplasts absorb sunlight. Right? So now see, basically what is the work of the chlorophyll? It is to absorb carbon dioxide, absorb sunlight. Okay? So now maximum of those chloroplasts are on the upper part of the, on the epidermis of the leaf, on the upper part of the leaf. So it is very easy to absorb lot of sunlight, which is very good for photosynthesis. Right? Now the 5th point is, there is continuous supply of water and mineral in every cell due to the extensive network of veins within the leaf lamina. Water coming from the veins enter the cell by osmosis. Veins also help in the translocation of prepared food to other parts of the plant. Now, when you will observe a leaf minutely, you will see that there are different types of, there are lots of veins, and the veins also have winglets. Okay, so because of that, what happens? Okay, the transfer of minerals or the water or air or whatever becomes very fast in the leaf. And also those veins in the winglets help to take the food through all the part of the plants. As the way they absorb fast, they are also used to distribute the food. So again, yes, the leaves do photosynthesis. And last point is that the oxygen produced at the end of the photosynthesis is released into the atmosphere through stomata. Again, now stomata, as I said, stomata are only present in the leaf. So the stomata also help to release oxygen out in the atmosphere. So basically these were the 5 or 6 points which I explained you to say that why leaves are only used for photosynthesis. How does photosynthesis occur? All plants have a transport system called vascular system. The vascular system is composed of 2 types of tissues called as the xylem tissue and the phloem tissue. The xylem transports water and minerals upward from the roots to the leaves. Okay, now see, how does photosynthesis occur? ऐसा तो नहीं है ना कि light गई, the carbon dioxide is gone, everything and ऐसा mix up हो गया and everything is done. No. How? What will happen? What is exactly the process of photosynthesis? So, how we have a system, we have different type of organ systems in our body which do different types of work. Like that, even in plants, they have different types of system which do the work of getting the water, spreading, transporting it, and then when the food is made, so that has to be transferred to the plant. Okay, so this system is known as the vascular system in plants. Okay, the transport system of the plant is known as the vascular system, and the vascular system consists of 2 types of tissues, that is the xylem tissue and the phloem tissue. Now what is the work of the xylem tissue? Xylem tissue only works upwards. The xylem tissues only work upwards. Okay, so basically what is the work of xylem is to absorb minerals, water and nutrition from the soil. Okay, that is the work of the xylem. And what is the work of the phloem? Phloem basically the work is, it goes upward and downward movement. So the food and all what is prepared, that is to give to the other parts of the of the phloem. Okay, understood both the tissues? Now we will learn in detail about it. The sunlight falling on the leaf is absorbed by chlorophyll to provide energy. This energy is used to split water molecules into hydrogen ion and hydroxyl ions. Subsequently, a series of chemical reaction occurs. Now see, when the sunlight falls on the leaf, what happens? It is absorbed by the chlorophyll and it provides energy. So what does that energy do? What is the work of the energy which is provided by the sunlight? What is the energy? What is the work of the energy? It splits water into molecules. What is water made up of? H2O. That is 2 molecules of hydrogen and 1 molecule of oxygen. Right? So what does it split it into? It splits it into an hydrogen ion and hydroxyl ion. Means 1 ion of hydrogen and 1 OH. 1 H and then 1 OH. Okay? And after this there are many chemical reactions which take place once this water molecule has been split. Oxygen from the hydraulics ion is released into the air. Okay? From the HO, hydraulics, which is HO, oxygen is released into the air. Okay? And the hydraulic ion which remains, it combines with the carbon dioxide to form glucose. Then the glucose ka formula is C6H12O6. Okay? The phloem transports glucose made in the leaves to other parts of the plant in form of sucrose. I told you now what is the work of the phloem. I had explained you that it transports the glucose to all the, like basically the food to all the parts of the plants. Okay, in the form of sucrose. So understood what those both the tissues do? Sure? Any questions you have? Okay. Now let us learn about the factors that affect photosynthesis. See, there are many factors that affect photosynthesis, but there are 3 main factors that affect the photosynthesis the most. That is the carbon dioxide, light and the suitable temperature. Many factors affect photosynthesis, but the 3 factors that are most important are carbon dioxide, light and suitable temperature. Okay, so now these 3 factors are very important for the photosynthesis of the plants, and they are interrelated to each other. They are basically interdependent on each other. Means the quantity of carbon dioxide affects the temperature and the light, or the quantity of light will affect the other 2. Like all 3 are interdependent on each other. Now temperature. What is the suitable temperature? The temperature which is not above 40 degrees is always suitable temperature. Because why? Something above 40 degree will start affecting the enzymes action. The action of the enzymes in the plants. Okay? Understood? Now see, as I said that they are interdependent on each other. How are they interdependent on each other? Let's learn that. See, now if carbon dioxide is less and the other 2 are more, there will be less photosynthesis. Similarly, if the light is less, it will again slow down the process of photosynthesis. And if there is a lot of carbon dioxide and temperature is suitable, then also it will, but a lot of carbon dioxide and it will basically slow down the process of photosynthesis. Now similarly, if the temperature is low, there will be less photosynthesis even if sufficient amount of carbon dioxide and sunlight is there. Understood? So they all 3 affect each other. Okay? And too much of light beyond a certain limit, they will destroy the chlorophylls in the plants. Okay? They will destroy the chlorophyll in the plants, and what will happen? Then there will be no photosynthesis happening, or it will adversely affect the process of photosynthesis. Right? Have you understood so far everything? Okay. So now let me tell you now what will be the end products of photosynthesis. Like after photosynthesis is over, basically after photosynthesis is done, what are the products that are formed and how are they useful to whom? Okay. There are 2 end products of photosynthesis. After the process of photosynthesis happens, 2 products come. One is glucose and the other is oxygen. Okay. And how are they useful? Now, the glucose, that is the sugar is either immediately utilized by the cell or stored in the form of insoluble starch. Can you give me one example insoluble starch types ka? Potato. That is the best example. Okay, where the glucose is not immediately used but it is stored in the form of starch. Okay, so the glucose is either immediately used for the plant for its growth. How do you think new leaves come, new flowers come, now fruits, how are they happening? Because they are using that glucose for their growth. And whichever glucose is not used is being used in the form of, stored in the form of starch. Now the second byproduct is oxygen. Now we all know what is oxygen useful for, right? Oxygen. Some of the oxygen released may be used in respiration of the leaf cells, but the major portion of it is not required. Hence diffuses out into the atmosphere through the stomata. And in a way, even this oxygen is not a waste. Of course it is not a waste because it is the most vital gas for all organisms need oxygen for respiration. So understood now what were the end products of photosynthesis? Very good. So yesterday I explained you what photosynthesis means. The way they make food and all, how they make food and why the plants make food and what are the end products of the photosynthesis. Now today we will see that how the plant utilizes the food which is made. Okay, that is utilization of synthesized food and its transportation. Means how is the food utilized and how does the food reach from the leaves to the other part of the plants. Okay. Now, food manufactured in the leaf is required for use by all parts of the plant. Obviously, the leaves make the food, but the food is being used by all the part of the plants, right? Correct. Now, glucose is formed in the leaf very rapidly during photosynthesis, and it cannot be transported to other parts with the same rapidity. So now see, when photosynthesis happens, now see why it makes very fast. What is the reason that glucose is made very fast? The reason is that sunlight beats for a very little time, right? During that time only, because in the presence of sunlight only chlorophyll can make food, the plants can make food. So they have to make the food very fast, right? Because the sunlight is only for a limited period of time, right? Let's say for few hours, then they cannot make food because there is no sunlight. That is why the food has to be prepared very fast. Okay, but after making the food is not transported, means the food is not given out to various parts of the plant in the same speed. Understood? Okay, so several molecules of glucose join together to form insoluble starch for temporary storage. Right now the glucose is already formed. Now where will that go? It has to be stored somewhere, right? So that means that several molecules of glucose are joined together to form insoluble starch for temporary storage. Means for a little while of storage. Then later on it can slowly keep transporting to all the parts of the plants. At night, this, see, I told you because they make food in the sunlight only. So now this transportation is done at night. At night, this starch is reconverted into soluble sugar. This sugar in the form of sucrose is transported in solutions through the veins of the leaf and down through the phloem of the stem. As I told you yesterday, function of the phloem is to distribute the food to different parts of the plants. So at night, this starch, which is temporary storage is starch form, it reconverts itself into soluble sugar, and with the help of phloem it goes to different parts of the plants. Okay, good. Now in this way it gets transported to different parts of the plant where it may be reconverted into starch for storage in most stems and fruits, or it is utilized to produce energy for various functions in the plants. Okay, now this food is transported. Now when it gets to that particular part, when that sugar that's in the form of sucrose, it reaches to that particular part of the plant. Either the plant uses for its food to get energy for it, or again it stores it as starch form. Like in fruits it is saved, in stems it is saved, which we eat, right? Fruits we eat, right? Understood?
Yes.
Now we will learn about the significance of photosynthesis. Means why is photosynthesis necessary, important, why is actually photosynthesis required. So significance of photosynthesis, food for all. Plants prepare their own food by photosynthesis and the plant in turns are eaten by animals. Correct? See, now plants prepare their own food. Had the plants been not doing photosynthesis, what would have happened? No food would have been prepared. Right? Actually, no food would have been prepared. Correct? And what would happen? What would we eat then? What would animals eat if there were no plants? If you are a non-vegetarian, you are eating chicken, you are eating mutton, whatever if you are eating, even those, the goat also eats plant. The chicken also eats grains. So basically everything turns out that every human, every living being on this planet is dependent on plants for their food. Right? So because of photosynthesis, everybody gets food. Correct? That is one importance of photosynthesis. What is the second importance of photosynthesis? It gives oxygen for respiration. We learned that oxygen is a byproduct of photosynthesis. We learned, right? What were the two products that come out? Glucose and oxygen. So glucose is taken by the plants. Either it is stored in the form of starch or it has been utilized by the plant for energy purpose. To get energy, right? For it to grow. And the second byproduct is the oxygen. So little bit of oxygen, as we had learned before, little bit of oxygen is used by the plant for respiration. Rest has been given out in the atmosphere. Where has it been used for? It is used by human beings and animals for respiration. Right? See, all the free oxygen in the atmosphere air is a result of photosynthesis. Of course, there is no other way on the planet Earth to get oxygen from except photosynthesis. Photosynthesis and only photosynthesis is the way to give oxygen to the atmosphere. Okay? There is no other way in which oxygen can be formed in the atmosphere. No animal can survive without oxygen as it is needed for respiration. Even the plants use the same oxygen in the dark for their own respiration. See, I told you, that they use a little bit for themselves and the rest is given out. Right?